back. We are joined by endurance athlete and entrepreneur Marcus Smith. He's training to run a 162-kilometer race in Spain, and he's doing it in the not so cool temperature to Dubai. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you. Nice to be back.
It's early for everyone. It's 9 a.m. in the morning. Sibrid came in and she was like, I love doing the show. Well, she said she liked doing the show. The mornings are tricky, but you've been up for hours.
No, it's always. It's actually quite weird. I pulled up at the car park and it was like 8 o'clock and I was like, the second car. I was like, is it closed? Like, I know not everyone's working from an office, but yeah, I like to be up early, 4:30, 4. It's nice.
And is that always training at that hour? Or do you do other things?
Most of the time, yeah. I like to start. I think I love being up early. I always have been, and I love to go and train, and it makes me feel good, so I do it. It's not for everyone, but...
What are you powered on? Because we talked about chickpeas already. So it's not chickpeas, that's what you're doing. Are you powered on coffee?
Actually, this morning I'm only powered on 1 cup of coffee and a load of water, but generally I eat a paleo style diet, which is, it's just a way that we ate hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's very straightforward, and it basically is fresh food. If it's processed, we don't eat it, and if it's, that's basically how it works. So meat, chicken, fish, vegetables, anything that grows. The hard way of saying it, if you can kill it or you can grow it, you can eat it, otherwise don't bother.
7 days a week and birthday parties? Do you stick to it?
Yeah, it depends. You know, it's a really good question. Listen, I'll be totally honest. If the cake at a birthday party looks good, I'm straight into it.
Good.
But a lot of the time, like, I look at some birthday cakes and it's got like this blue or this pink icing, and I'm like, how on earth? Like, that just looks so unnatural. And
fish scales, maybe.
you know, and I'm just like, it just doesn't look super appetizing. So I'm like, no, I don't really need to eat that. But listen, I have a super sweet tooth, and that's actually how I really started eating paleo, because I was like, I know that white stuff, sugar, is not real good. How can I have sweet food that's actually quite good? And then you start to research into like dates, honey, maple syrup, what you can mix it with, and then you get paleo treats. And we started a paleo food business from it, and life's good. Everyone's hungry.
I do like healthy treats. We'll get to them. You should have brought some.
I really should.
You
I
could
didn't
have fed
go
us.
to the gym this morning or the cafe. And I actually thought on the way, I should have brought you guys something. I'm such a bad person. I'll send some this afternoon.
Rich is like, later. We'll have that show tomorrow. But you are a known endurance athlete. So what you're about to do this summer is not kind of unusual for you, but maybe for the listeners. You're running a 162-kilometer ultra race in Spain. Why?
Great question. I like this stuff. I like it for a number of reasons. One, it gives me something to focus on. It gives me something to wake up for every morning. I love training, but also love actually having a goal to get towards. And this is quite a unique race. It's the first time they've run it. It's in the Pyrenees in Spain, which I've never been to.
Beautiful. Yeah,
well, hopefully. And it's kind of like, you know, the guys give me a call and say, will you come over? And I start to look at it and start to look at some of the terrain, and I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. In 2018 we ran across the island of Corsica, which is about 200k and had like 13,000 meters of elevation, and it was just like one of the best some of the best days of my life. It's just so beautiful. I love Dubai. I love the city. You know, we love the high rises, we love the lights, but we came from nature, and it's kind of like what I was saying about food. Like, we can love that birthday cake for a short period of time, and I love all this glitz and glam for a short period of time, but I feel that we've lost a lot of connection with nature. So to be out in nature and to get the opportunity to go and run it'll probably take somewhere around 2 days to run it.
That's what I was going to say. So like, give us an idea of running and sleeping. Like, how does it work? 162 kilometers. Richie, how long do you reckon that would take you? just to give me an idea, just to get the maths done.
I went downstairs yesterday from the 42nd floor.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Oh.
In the elevator. So yeah, I mean, basically, because there is a lot of elevation, there's 10,000 meters elevation, which, to put that into some context, is a little bit more than Everest. So it's like starting at sea level and going to the top of Everest plus sort of 15% more. So actually, running, I don't believe, is the right way to describe it, because when you're going up that sort of elevation, it's actually just, sometimes it's crawling, but it's trying to sort of get up there as fast as you can. And what the way that the race works is that you have checkpoints every sort of 15 to 20 kilometers based on how the route of the course is. And then you have an option when you get there. You can rest a little bit if you want. We'll try to rest as little as possible. And we do a lot of training sort of for sleep deprivation. So I'll go like 48 hours without sleeping and a lot of training and just try and get my body and my mind, like the body can do it. It's just getting your mind like in place for it. You've got something to ask. She's like, what?
Well, there's so much there, and I want to talk about how you prepare. But how do you prepare for sleep deprivation?
Yeah, I'm experimenting, to be totally honest with you, and I just train for it. So, for example, I'll give you an example. The last one I did was about 3 weeks ago. So, I wake up at about 4:30 on a Wednesday morning, had my complete normal day, and there was NAS night race. So I went down and watched that, and then I got home. Got back on the bike. So I've been on the bike at like 6 in the morning, got back on the bike for like 2 hours and then just sort of, just stayed awake and then went running at like 5 that morning, run for 2 or 3 hours, then work a whole day and then went back running at like 7 in the evening till about 4 or 5 the next morning. Wow. So I'd had like 2 20-minute naps in that whole sort of period. So you just sort of train it like that.
So it's filling your calendar.
Yeah,
2 full days.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like it is quite different, like coming to work for the whole day as opposed to going out running the whole day, because you kind of at work, sometimes you're literally just falling asleep at the computer, but then when you're running, you'll also be falling asleep. So it's just a little bit different, and you just have to train it. And that's one of the biggest things. Like we want to do all these amazing things, no matter what it is, no matter if it's in the work or in our private lives. And let's just ask people, okay, what are you doing specific to train that? But yeah, training to be tired is a weird concept for people, mate.
And you say you're doing it, when you said you were talking, you say we will be at 20Ks. So do you do it with a team? Is there other people doing the race with you?
Yes.
Or are they supporting you?
Yeah, so UTMB, which is Ultra Trail Mont Blanc, it's like, it's a brand that comes from Chamonix, which is like, or for one of a better word, is the mecca of trail running. So there'll be a lot of people, it's under that brand, it's in Spain, there'll be a lot of people there. And I think I'm quite fortunate that a guy who I've been doing stuff like this with for a long time, Rob Jones, we now work together. He works for me as a run coach. So we stayed together pretty much. We ran across Corsica together. We've done loads of stuff. And it's quite funny. People are always like, what do you guys talk about? And we're like, yeah, we don't. You know, like last Thursday we were out here in Alcudra and we ran 50K together, and we didn't speak about anything.
So there's no like kind of, emotional connection.
There is, but it's a weird sport in that it's quite silent. Like I think we are lots of people say that we're quite cold, not Rob, but me a lot. Like I'm cold and emotion free, but I think it's actually the most emotional sport because you're in such different situations the whole time, whether it's sleep deprivation, extreme physical pain, your toenails are falling off, and so you sort of have to really be in touch with things. And I can tell when Rob has a problem, he doesn't need to speak. Like I can tell. Even another guy that was with us last weekend, Tom, we were running, he was about 50 meters ahead of us, and I said to Rob, he's got a problem. And we can just see it in his body. So it's quite, I know that also sounds a little bit weird for some people, but when you spend a lot of time with people where literally the makeup's off, it's really quite sort of, it's almost like quite primal. You learn to pick up on, and it goes back, this message, I feel like I'm sort of a really old school guy, but that's how we used to interact. Yeah. Before, like we pick up on different messages, and now we mask all these messages, and we just kind of know when we're feeling. And Rob will say, "You okay?" And I'm like, "No, mate."
But yeah, I'm not. But you mentioned like your toenails falling off, and your body is being kind of like pushed to the inch of its life, probably nearly. Yeah. So how do you prepare? We mentioned the sleep deprivation, but in terms of like safety, so like you're literally going to push your body to the limit, and you're training in 40-50 degrees heat here in Dubai to get to that point. How are you making sure you're doing this safely? Yeah, that comes with experience, and that's one of the biggest things. If you're listening, please don't go out and try and stay awake for 48 hours or run. Don't run 162K, guys. Yeah, please don't do it. It comes with experience and knowing your body. We know
I'll give you another example. The guy that we saw had a problem pulled out of that event 5K down the road.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I have a problem. So a lot of it is just really being in touch with your body. And I always say this to people, just wake up in the morning and as soon as your feet hit the floor when you get out of bed, just scan your body. How am I really feeling? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? And then the second moment of truth is just go and have a look at yourself in the mirror, see how you feel, and just start to really get in touch with your feelings and stop asking people how you should feel and looking to social media to see how you should feel, and actually just understand yourself quite well. And then hopefully you won't get into a situation that you can't get out of, but sometimes it happens.
But this is the thing, because it's kind of mind over matter, because you want to listen to your body. So
Yeah.
if I ran 20K yesterday and I was trying to train for, let's
Yeah.
say, 20K 5 days in a row, and my body was telling me no, but mentally maybe I'd be able to push myself. So
Yeah.
how do you kind of balance that? Your body's not able for it versus actually I just don't want to get out of bed today.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. It depends how important that getting out of bed is. And, you know, if you get out of bed, so let's take a simple example. You get out of bed, you're supposed to go to the gym. You went to the gym yesterday. If you get out of bed and you just feel like you really want to do it, like you're so fired up or not, but your body is giving you a different message, then you have to make a decision. And a lot of people say, no, I have to do it. You don't really have to do it. If your body's trashed from the day before, what's actually going to be the benefit of going to the gym today? And it's the same in our training right now. Of course, when we're in the race, I don't care if I finish the race like hobbling with one leg and half my leg hanging off because I'm going to that race. But if I go training tonight and my body doesn't feel 100% and I feel like I'm doing damage, so I can't turn up and train tomorrow, then it doesn't, like, the mind has to be smart and say, just pull back. Yeah. So there is a lot of conflict. I know that maybe doesn't answer that 100%, but I wanted to create awareness for people around a connection. The mind and body is one. We're always saying mentally strong, physically weak, or the other way around, but we're one. Sometimes we have to separate them, but a lot of the time we have to help them to work in unison so that we can do what we want to do.
It sounds like it's just about being smart and knowing your own body.
It is. I mean, honestly, thanks for summing it up so simply. Like, that's exactly what it is, but how much time are we investing understanding what happens to our body? Because generally we'll say, okay, I'll go to the gym and we only do it for 2 or 3 days. So then what do we know? You know, it's a very big can of worms.
Speaking of time and investing, so you mentioned you have a food business, you obviously run Inner Fight.
Yeah.
You know, you have a family. How do you possibly balance your work life, your social life, and your ultra life?
I guess they're all the same. And like we spoke about earlier, I don't watch TV or anything like that. I look at the week and I'm like, okay, what do I need to give to Holly this week? And she's always number one, and I don't want this to sound bad, but she's number one in my calendar. So like, what time can I spend with her? What time will I spend training? And I just try and get really organized. So like on a Wednesday, I'll try and plan for the next week and just try and make everything work. And I think sometimes as well, and people will go through this, it's like, why are you actually working those extra hours? What satisfaction is it going to give you? And sometimes I've created a position for myself that I'm like, I don't have to work if it doesn't make me happy. And sometimes I'll have less training load weeks so I can go a little bit more all in on work. And sometimes I'll have higher training load weeks, like today and tomorrow, I won't work at all, you know, except a few messages here and there, but I probably won't sit down in front of my laptop, and probably until Sunday now, you know. So, but
You've planned that, that's organized, that's just not like I'm taking 2 days off.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'll always, so it really is just been a little bit of a time management, sort of like being really anal about it. And also I think saying no to things like how many things can we go to? Do you know what I mean? And what value?
100%.
It's like, stop inviting me to anything. Like, luckily now I don't get invited to a lot of stuff, but you know, you have to be confident to say no a lot as well.
That's a massive thing that people have an issue with, saying no. And my brother Rich, also our boss here at Lovin Dubai, he is also massively into fitness, and he has really kind of, I guess, perfected the art of saying no, to the point that I just kind of would, let's say I see my mum all the time here, but I just rarely invite him. But it's tricky.
Yeah.
But it's like having that power. So if you're watching this weekend and you have plans and you'd rather get out and exercise, just go and do it, and just do you, because you'll feel better after it.
I think that honestly, and if you take one thing from what we're chatting about today, that's it. Like, I don't think people should go and run, 162k for 2 days and not sleep. I think you should do you. But to do you, and the hardest thing is to ask yourself, like, what is me? Mm-hmm. And then that decision-making process of, I'll say yes to that, I'll say no to that, it's super simple. And that motivation to wake up in the morning and that motivation to go to bed. Like, some nights, I'm like a kid at Christmas. I cannot wait to go to bed because I'm so excited. And people look at me like, Marcus, you're 42. Like, you're not supposed to behave like this. But I'm genuinely super excited, because I know I've made these decisions about what's going to happen tomorrow, and I'm just excited to do it. So, and I just hope that people can try and sort of dig into that relationship with themselves.
Well, that's fantastic passion for fitness, and I love that. And we're talking about people here in the UAE potentially getting involved in the ultras scene.
Yeah.
I see a lot of pictures on Instagram of people hiking at the weekends. Yeah. They're in Ras Al Khaimah, they're in Al Ain. However, there's like this nice pictures at the top of the mountain, but there's actually the journey there. And if you are inspired to go out this weekend and exercise, follow this conversation. I would love that. However, it's not as easy as it looks. Yeah. And for anyone thinking about getting involved this summer, do you have any tips for them? Yeah,
it's actually quite timely. I on the Inner Fight podcast, which I've done for a number of years, I released a show the other week which talks about all these great places that we have in the UAE, and we have a lot.
Yes, we do.
There is a little bit of a warning. The timing of my show is terrible, because it's coming into the hottest time of the year. Uh-huh. These hikes and the terrain that we have here is absolutely brutal. Yesterday was like 45 degrees. My tips is, firstly, go with someone that knows what they're doing, and not someone that's read Google, but someone that really knows. Secondly, you might not get to the top on the first day because it could take 3 or 4 hours. You have to get down. And really the most important thing is you have to take stuff with you. Like, people go out with 500 mils of water. You will not live on 500 mils of water for like 3 or 4 hours. Mm-hmm. This is Mother Nature. It's brutal. It's super hot. There's no wind. There's no Uber. There isn't even any phone signal out in these places. And I see it a lot. I'm sat out there. There's helicopters rescuing people every single weekend.
This is it, right?
It is really dangerous. And I think half a dozen people almost each season or each year pass away in the mountains here. It's really quite serious. People just think, oh, it's a nice trail. It's not. There are a lot of safe routes to go, and it is amazing. And I think honestly, I think it's one of the greatest things from the COVID effect. We've just seen more people getting out into nature, and it's brilliant. Ras Al Khaimah Tourism are doing a great job to welcome people, and even out here in Al Qudra in Dubai, there's just so much. But I can't emphasize enough, please be careful and go with someone who knows what they're doing.
Knowledge is power, people.
Yeah, it's awful.
But I think that would, let's say, the majority of the society are people who are interested in getting out and doing little hikes. However, there's a smaller subset who are very keen, no offense, who are very keen to get involved in ultra racing. And there is a scene here in Dubai that's growing. Yeah. But how can that become more professionalized here in the UAE?
That's interesting. I think it is, and I don't think it's something that you can really fast forward because of the history of where ultra runners come from and the breed we are. We don't want huge events. We don't want big course markings because it damages the environment.
Is there a race, sorry to cut you in, is there an ultra running endurance massive race here in
there's a few. They obviously, not many took place in the last 2 years really, because the season's finished now, but there are quite a few. Okay. There's one out in Al Qudra, and there's quite a few out in the mountains, and they range from 100Ks all the way down to like 20Ks. And they're coming and they're getting better. And the main thing is that, as I said, a lot of the governing bodies for tourism are developing the trails, which is fantastic, making them safer. But yeah, it's weird. It's almost, we're kind of a little bit selfish as well, that it doesn't have to be bigger and better. It doesn't. And I love Dubai. I've lived here for 40 years. But in trail running and in nature, we don't have to be big the whole time. Like, be big here, it's cool, but out there, let's organize small races and let's just see. For me, participation and people out on the trails or in the mountains having a good time safely is what the measure should be. It doesn't always have to be big races with fanfares and stuff like that. But as I said, I love nature and I don't like it destroyed, because that's the thing as well. Like, people leave obscene amounts of litter out there, and that's horrible. But that's life. We're humans.
Don't leave your waste. It's a topic we talk about on the show quite regularly, just like the beaches, camping, even Al Qudra. Like, it's just sometimes the amount of waste there is just crazy. So it's something that we try and talk about a lot to just bring awareness to it. Yesterday, before you came on the show, we posted a photo saying you're joining us on the show. Because I don't have any questions. We got a couple. One that I'd like to jump into quickly is, your mindset is one of the best. How do you pass that trait on to others?
Yeah, that's a really nice question. Thanks a lot. I think it's just trying to figure out for people what I was saying earlier, like what makes them tick, and putting them in different situations, asking them different questions. Because I think, okay, I have a certain mindset, but it's mainly from experience and mainly from continuously asking myself questions. Like, every day when I get up, how do I feel? So we coach a lot of people. A lot of people put their trust in us, which I take very personally and very sort of seriously, that when someone comes to me, they give me their body and their mind, and we're just trying to sort of unpick things and just trying to figure out. So that's what we're trying to do. And, you know, I spent a lot of time in the corporate world, and that made me happy for a long time. But then when I started getting into human performance and really trying to figure out how humans do things, it's just fascinating. And we just try and pass it on to people, and we will give people certain almost doses of medicine, I'd call it, that we know will push them. So, you know, whether it's come out to Al Qudra and do something, or go out in the mountains, or you're going to run for 40K or 20K, it doesn't matter. We'll just look at the individual and we'll say, okay, what will teach that individual the most? And what will, as Goggins says, what will callous their mind the most? You know, I think that's if anyone hasn't read his book, that's probably the best phrase from his book. Like, we're just doing things to try and callous the mind and make it a bit stronger. And it's a passion to pass it on to people. I don't see it as a job. We're just trying to help people, and we know that if they take these things, they'll live great lives, that's cool as well, I think.
That's so interesting, just kind of the study of human performance. It's great. Moving on, and just two more questions before we leave you. Ahead of these kind of ultra races, do you get scared? Do you get nervous?
I think I do. Yeah, I do. But it's because I know, and this is the thing, like, a lot of people say, if you're not nervous, you know, it's not hard enough, and all these big motivational quotes. But yeah, I get like this nervous excitement because I know that I want to try and go as hard as I can. And there's an inherent risk to that, going too far and dropping off the edge. And the sort of key in life and in endurance sports more specifically is how can we buffer the edge for as long as possible whilst keep on moving forward and not falling off. And that makes me quite nervous, because
that is a very, very scary thought.
Yeah, but that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to do it in our work lives. We're trying to be the best that we can without burning out. We're trying to have the best, you know, we're trying to do it everywhere. This race will take 48 hours. If I go too hard in the first 24 hours, I've still got 24 hours to figure things out. And that's when it can be quite interesting. So, I mean, that's really a bit of a philosophy for life, just trying to figure out how long we can stay on the edge. And you don't need to be on the edge the whole time, but that creates nerves. But it's excitement as well.
It is excitement. I think for some of us, we live so much in the middle that maybe we need to go push it to the edge.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing as well, is we shouldn't be at this sort of on in the red the whole time. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But there are times, and when we're leading into a race, or, you know, you've got a big pitch or something, you have to be so close to the edge but not fall off. And yeah, a few days before the race, it's not even just the few days before the race. Like, I'll sometimes, like, even talking about it now, there's this funny nerves because I kind of know, and I still have 6 weeks to go. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun.
It would be so, like, the most I've ever done in terms of endurance would be a 10K.
Yeah.
And I would be nervous 100% before, because it's the biggest thing I've ever done, and it was tricky to finish. Yeah, okay.
It's true. No, but that's the thing, and another thing that people say, like, don't compare yourself to me. I've done certain things, nothing compared to, you know, I've got some friends climbing Everest at the moment. I'm just like, oh, guys. For everyone, I always say this, everyone has their own Everest.
Yeah.
Like, I have clients that can't run 1 kilometer, you know, and I'm trying to get them to run 1 kilometer. And they're like, yeah, but you can do 160. It doesn't matter. 10K is 10K, 1K is 1K. If you're struggling, if you've eaten so much, you're struggling to get from the couch to the fridge to refill your ice cream bucket, like that distance is huge. So don't worry about it. And it's back to what we said. We're always comparing ourselves to others, to what we see in social media, to what he's doing or she's. It's cool. No, you're so unique. You are you. You're so beautiful. There's no one else in this whole planet like you. So why are you comparing yourself to me? Like, it's pointless.
I want to reach that 160K. The final question came in from Koyozo on Instagram. And after this kind of quite in-depth chat about ultra racing, I'm not really sure how we're going to finish on it, but she said, what do you think of Taylor Swift?
I actually, you know, honestly, and I might sound really ignorant, but when just before Rich walked in, and I know Rich, if Taylor Swift walked in here, I would have no clue.
Really?
Absolutely no clue. It's like when you ask me about Friends. Something's got to give. You know, it's like what you said about time management. I read I read a lot, but I don't care about showbiz. I have no clue what's going on. I didn't even know this Friends thing was happening that you guys were talking about. But for sure, the whole universe is really. So if Taylor Swift walked in here, yeah, I hope she's a nice person, and maybe one day we'll go for a run.
Do you know what she does?
Is she a singer or something? Yeah, that I know. Yeah, that was a good check though. Yeah, you know, but sometimes Holly will be like, "Why is Taylor Swift playing?" I'm like, "Who's Taylor Swift?" Oh, the one singing. She goes, "Yeah, but that's like." I'm like, "Okay, but it's just." I don't know.
So if you were ever to cut your schedule and go to a pub quiz, you're not going to be on the pop culture side of the team.
Terrible. But Holly is amazing. She knows everything. Okay. And I take her everywhere I go, and she wins. She loves pub quizzes. So, yeah.
Okay, so you have that balance.
So we've got that balance, yeah. She loves it. She sits and at night I'll be reading some stuff and she's watching like MasterChef and she loves it. She knows exactly what's going on. Yeah. Which I don't think it's unnormal. It's normal, right?
Yeah, it's
but,
enjoy. I'd be the same. Love MasterChef.
Yeah, there we go. She's like, oh, Australia have illegally uploaded their latest MasterChef to YouTube. I've got to watch it tonight.
Australia's MasterChef
is it good?
100% the best one.
Is it? There we go. She's Australian, so I always think she's biased, but I'm like, yeah, whatever.
No, because I think, as far as I know about MasterChef, they've gone to like an insane number of countries. Maybe I'm going to make up a total number here, 60 or 70 or something. Okay. And Australia's definitely
the best. I would never know. I don't even know what it is.
Taylor Swift is there. Guys, this is a great chat with Marcus Smith. He's running the. Is it Val d'Aran?
Val d'Aran, yeah.
Val d'Aran,
UTMB in the Pyrenees.
So you can follow his progress on.
You can follow on Val d'Aran Instagram and also on my Instagram. Not when I'm running because it's kind of quite important to run. But I do a lot of that in training with my GoPro. I do a lot, so it's kind of quite hard. But when it's like when we go to run, we sort of go. We'll try and get as much footage as we can along the way when we're there because it's you have time to do it. And these places are beautiful. Like I set off by saying, it's amazing. But thanks a lot for talking to me, and thanks to you guys. You always support what we're doing, and that's really cool. So thank you.
Not at all. We love community stories in Dubai. So if you have any, do share with us. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Guys, that is it for us on the Lovin Daily. Stay safe, wash your hands. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place.